It isn't just the lyrics, it's the beat.
Hey there, Phil Gray, host of Retrospect 60s Garage Punk Show. Thank you for clicking on this video, but I just want to say before you get into it that this is a back episode, just one of a handful up on YouTube. If you want to find all the Retrospect podcasts, so that's great 60s garage punk, garage rock, freakbeat, psychedelia, and more, you need to find it on a podcasting platform. I recommend Apple Podcasts first and foremost. Almost all the episodes also on Spotify, but you'll find them on pretty much every podcasting platform that exists. Just search Retrospect 60s Garage Punk. Also find us on Facebook and Insta and Blue Sky, where your feedback is absolutely welcome, as is your like, your follow, your rating, your review, and your comment. That all helps. So, let's get into the video. Enjoy.
The music that they're planning to use to crumble the morals of America is this rotten, filthy, dirty, lewd, lascivious junk called rock and roll.
An hour of 60s underground music from around the world. Retrospect 60s Garage Punk Radio. Great 60s Garage Punk, freakbeat, and psychedelia. Podcast via all good podcasting providers and facebook.com/Retrospect Garage Punk Radio.
You have you had a group on one side that was bad, and you had a group on the other side that was also very horrible. I'm not finished. Horrible. Nobody wants to say that.
Hi there, I'm Phil Gray. Welcome to Retrospect 60s Garage Punk Radio Show and Podcast episode 438. Special episode for this one because it is another Retrospect guest selector show, so stay tuned. Now it's even easier to get your weekly dose of 60s garage rock, garage punk, freakbeat and psychedelia. Simply ask your Spotify-enabled device to play you Retrospect 60s Garage Punk Show. So I'm joined now by this week's guest selector. I welcome Jerry Balderson. Jerry, welcome to Retrospect.
It is the thrill of the week day, the lifetime, to be co-hosting a radio program with you, Phil. I think the first time I heard about you, I was reading an article at Outside Magazine about the volcano blow-up last December,
Yes.
and I thought, well, let me go look for some New Zealand radio stations, and you were the first one to come up, I kid you not, and your shows, you had just done retrospects, ironically, on both Little Richard and Phil May.
Right.
And I thought, I was born to listen to this radio program.
Well, I appreciate your support and your kind words, and it is a pleasure to have you joining us this week. This episode entirely your selections, and boy, there are some in there that I wasn't familiar with, which is why I enjoy doing these shows. So, Jerry, you are from Hackettstown, am I right?
I'm actually on the cusp in a suburb of Hackettstown. Although if the election goes the wrong way in a couple of weeks, Joe Biden might destroy the suburb. So this may be the last time we ever talk, according to the current president. But aside from that, yeah, I'm in Allamuchy, New Jersey. I'll flash my credentials. I've owned and operated an independent record store for it'll be 33 years on November 2nd, if we all live that long. And I've host my own radio program. It's called the Paleface Parabola. It's live on homegrownradionj.org on Friday nights, our time here in the States, from 7 p.m. to midnight. And it is, I call it the 5-hour tour day farce, a plate spin. It's a vast sprawl of self-indulgence.
I'm going to check that out, and Retrospect listeners should as well. So let's talk about the episode. Jerry, we kicked it off with a track by Dick Dale, a choice of yours. Why Dick Dale?
Well, for fairly obvious reasons. I mean, he's the master of the surf guitar domain. We took that collection from a pretty cool one on the Great Ace reissue label out of England, and it's a song called Angry Generator. You could find it originally on the album called Rock Out, Live at Ciro's by Dick Dale and the Deltones from 1965. The Ace reissue is called Shazam, the instrumentals of Lee Hazelwood. And knowing what we know about Lee Hazelwood, his work with Duane Eddy aside, who would know? Who would think Lee Hazelwood would have all those instrumentals? But trust me, if you pick up that collection, he does.
There's really confusing information online about that song. It was released by a band called the Woodchucks. It's in 1970, described as a surf instrumental pastiche. It's described as being produced by Hazelwood, but then that Live at Ciro's album came out on Capitol in 1965, the Dick Dale album. So was it a Hazelwood song? Was it a Dick Dale song? Do you know?
Well, neither one are still around to tell us. The fascinating thing about Dick Dale, a couple of years ago, it's been known for a long time that he was in poor health.
Yes.
And in his last years, because of having no medical insurance, he had to tour. They literally had to carry him on stage. But once he put a guitar in his hand, he was melting picks just like he always did.
Retrospect 60s Garage Punk Radio.
I'm here to preach the gospel as simply, as urgently as I possibly can, because I believe that the world is heading toward a rendezvous with catastrophe unless we turn to God.
Jerry, your next selection is one that I wasn't familiar with, and I'd have to say I'd describe it more as what they now call Northern Soul as opposed to what they now call 60s garage punk or even garage rock. It's a guy called Rex Garvin, born in Harlem. A song that's on some Northern Soul compilations. It's one called Sock It To Him JB. You're a fan, obviously.
Yeah, well, I did warn you I was self-indulgent, and because I go by Jumpin' JB on the air,
right.
I thought that was a natural to do. It was originally released on the Atlantic record label in 1966, and we took it from the Rhino compilation Spy Music, Volume 1.
This is Rex Garvin and the Mighty Cravers. Track's called Sock It To Him JB.
One more time. Oh, that's good. Well, baby, well.
It's so bad in so many different ways and so unfortunate.
Retrospect.
Ride with me now down that purple shaft into the deep, inner depths of the diamond mine, where we will witness the flight of the precious peanut butter fudge angel of love as she spreads her wings and flies high through the thundering silence of your vacuum-kept secret, hiding out in the pulsating fringe of your bubbly fudge mind. Deep in the sanctuary of the ruby-lipped lizard who's tripped through that revolving door of today's changes, springs the weightless suspension of those tiny red question marks to pierce your brain and taunt you to observe the wondrous smoke of the fur-lined volcano near the cave of the great blue-winged bat, following the flight of the deep, deep-breathing butterfly toward the soothing smell of the 6-foot narcissus. Are we in the garden of man-eating dandelions or in the safety of the Tasmanian treehouse? Can it be? Will it be? Yes, it will, as you reach out for where it's at, only to find when you're where it's at, it isn't where it's at all. So cop out now with me for a borrowed moment and glimpse through the plate glass menagerie of life, the time thieves, the flight of mediocrity. Will we ever free ourselves of the demons of mediocrity? Wade now with me, knee-deep in the splendor of the peach fuzz forest, in the gentle radiation of the one-eyed cufflink, who joins us on our ball-bearing express to the land of lavender and sky-blue pink, where we pause on the latex trampoline of tomorrow's promise and grieve on yesterday's sweet sorrow. In the steam-heated living room of the warm teenage Tangerine, we must now somersault in slow motion, down the sliding board, to a diamond mine eternity, crying as God alive, and remembering so well that the hand that cradles the rock can certainly roll the world.
You're with Retrospect 60s Garage Punk Show, episode 438. Jerry Balderson of New Jersey, USA, is our guest selector this week. 3 of Jerry's picks. Top of the set, Rick's Garvin and the Mighty Cravers with Socket to 'em, JB. Then a track that I am familiar with and I love. Jerry, tell us about it.
Chicory Records, 1967, Dave Diamond and the Higher Elevation, a.k.a. Sidney Ivan Davidson. He lived from 1936 to 2014. He was an LA DJ and apparently instrumental, as it were, with getting a lot of the psychedelic mindset out there to the city. The first time I ever heard that song was on the kickoff track on the album Pebbles Volume 3.
That's right.
On vinyl, and he was a DJ host in LA. And to me, it's the greatest ode to psychedelic sex that I've ever heard.
Right. He hosted a show called The Diamond Mine, the band known as Dave Diamond and the Higher Elevation, track called The Diamond Mine, psychedelic classic. And you're right, he was an early advocate for The Doors, The Seeds, Love, Iron Butterfly, bunch of psychedelic bands, getting them important, very important early radio airplay. So very cool selection, mate. Then third in the set, another one that I love. And actually, I had this one lined up for an upcoming episode of Retrospect. I might have to stall that episode a bit, but cool track, The Soup Greens.
The first time I ever heard that song, I just cracked up laughing. It's actually my second favorite version of that song ever, besides the original. And there's a very cool version, if you've ever heard it, by Sebastian Cabot, the old actor from his album Sebastian Cabot Actor, Bob Dylan Poet, on MGM Records from the mid-1960s when that show Family Affair was on. That's my third favorite. But the Soup Greens, the liner notes to Pebbles Volume 1 are hilarious. They say, this track proves that a good 60s garage band could make any song sound like Louie Louie, and that was the proof that you just heard. Originally released on Golden Bell Records in August of 1965.
What an inspired selection for this episode. Jerry, we're going to be back in a moment with more of your picks. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Retrospect Garage Punk Radio. Jerry, I'm fascinated by the fact from all the songs you sent me for this show, 3 Antipodean selections. So 3 tracks from down here, down under, Australia and New Zealand. First up, you've got The Chicks, not the band Ex-Dixie Chicks, the original Chicks from right here in New Zealand. How do you know about them?
There's a very cool compilation that, looking at the liner notes today, I thought that, geez, maybe Phil had a hand in putting this together. It's New Zealand women from the 60s, 1965 on, it seems, and it's called Come and See Me. Was reissued a few years ago. I forget what label it was on at the moment, but it was originally released as a single on Festival Records in 1966. Oh, yes, the Frenzy Music compilation, Come and See Me. 2 sisters, Judy and Sue Donaldson. They once toured the country with both Sandy Shaw and the Pretty Things.
Wow.
So they got some cred.
That Pretty Things tour of New Zealand was highly controversial. It did not go down well in stuffy conservative New Zealand, I can tell you.
Well, no, I heard that both Viv Prince and I think Phil May were acting pretty badly down under and basically got tossed from the country. Well, one of the sisters, Sue Donaldson, sang on Cat Stevens' Oh Very Young from one of his records, and she recorded 2 singles for Ringo's label, the Ring-O label, in the 1970s. So they've got some clout.
Yeah, and at least one of the sisters is still around. In fact, I last spotted her at a recent funeral of a family member. So the song is called The Rebel Kind, written by Lee Hazelwood.
Ah, it all comes together.
And guitar from Doug Jerabin, who, that's a story all of its own. New Zealand musician, still around also and back in New Zealand. So let's check it out. This is The Chicks with The Rebel Kind from right here in New Zealand.
They don't like our fun. label Easybeats.
I went dancing on a Saturday night.
Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola.
Got so hot, I just didn't feel right.
Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola.
Knew I felt better with a Coke in my hand.
Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola.
So I bought one for the band. Things go better with Coca-Cola. Things go better with Coke. Coke has a taste you never get tired of. Coke after Coke after Coca-Cola. Things go better with Coca-Cola. Things go better with Coke.
Everybody say, everybody do. Mary, Mary, you're on my mind. Folks are going and a place will be mine. Mary, Mary, wanna be with you. And this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put a call to you. 'Cause I feel good tonight. Everything's gonna be right, 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 right. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Rock and roll music gonna play all night. Come on, baby, it won't take long. Only take a minute just to sing my song. Rolling my rolling's gonna be with Jim. Yeah, long tall salad's gonna be with Slim. I said short fat Bally's gonna be there too. I guess it's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put a call to you. 'Cause I feel good tonight. Everything's gonna be right, right, right. Yeah. Gonna have a good time tonight. Rock and roll music gonna play all night. Come on, oh baby, it won't take long. Only take a minute just to sing my song. Rolling and rolling's gonna be with Jim. A long tall salad's gonna be with Slim. Short fat Betty's gonna be there too. And this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put a call to you. 'Cause I feel good tonight. Everything's gonna be right, right, right. Yeah. Gonna have a good time tonight. Rock and roll music gonna play all night. Come on, baby, it won't take long. Only take a minute just to sing my song. Gonna have a good time tonight. Rock and roll music gonna play all night. Come on, baby, it won't take long. Only take a minute just to sing my song.
G'day Phil, this is Jamie from Sydney, Australia. Your non-stop 60s global garage punk is fueling the fire for our budding garage band here across the Dutch. So keep it coming.
Comes up like a rose, and everybody knows she'll get you indulged. Well, you can look, but you better not touch. Poison ivy, poison ivy. Late at night while you're sleeping, poison ivy comes up. She's pretty as a daisy, but look out, man, she's crazy. She'll really
where do you win? If you let her get under your skin, poison ivy, poison ivy. At night while you're sleeping, poison ivy comes a creeping around. Now measles make you bumpy, and mumps will make you lumpy, and chicken pox will make you jump and twitch. I come and cold will cool you, and hope and cough can fool you, but poison ivy, Lord, will make you itch. You're gonna need an ocean of calamine lotion. You'll be scratching like a hound the minute she starts to mess around. Poison ivy, poison ivy. Late at night while you're sleeping, poison ivy comes a creeping around. Poison ivy, poison ivy. Late at night while you're sleeping, poison ivy comes a creeping around. Now measles make you bumpy, and mumps will make you lumpy, and chicken pox will make you jump and twitch. I come and cold will cool you, and whooping cough can fool you, but poison ivy, Lord, will make you itch. You're gonna need an ocean of calamine lotion. You'll be scratching like a hound the minute she starts to mess around. Poison ivy, poison ivy. Late at night while you're sleeping, poison ivy goes a creeping around.
Your Retrospect 60s Garage Punk Show, episode 348, our, I think, third guest selector episode, and my guest today is Jerry Balderson from New Jersey, USA. 3 choices from down in this part of the world. We had the Chicks with the Rebel Kind at the top of the set. Jerry, we went then to a couple of Australian bands. Tell us about them.
Well, admittedly, picking an Easybeats song for a show from down under is low-hanging fruit. But I love that song. Gonna Have a Good Time. It was a single for United Artists in 1968. The band began in 1964. They're a multicultural group that fell together pretty miraculously in Australia. Shel Talmy, who produced Friday on My Mind, worked with the band for a while. He also obviously is famous from his work with The Who and the Kinks.
Yeah.
And then Glenn Johns, who produced a lot of groups, famous stuff, produced tracks for them in 1967. Clearly we know that George Young is Malcolm and Angus's brother, and we took that selection from a best of on Barry Saraband that was put together here in the States maybe about 20 years ago.
So the Easybeats, huge in Australia. I don't think so huge here in New Zealand. I mean, everyone knows Friday on My Mind, but the Easybeats had a 6-year run, and they say that in Australia, their success and their popularity rivaled that of the Beatles, and that's pretty huge. We went.
Oh, you think?
Yeah. We then went on to Billy Thorpe and the Aztecs, formed Sydney, New South Wales. Originally a 4-piece instrumental group playing surf instrumentals, bit of other stuff. You selected a track called Poison Ivy.
It's long been my contention, and, I was born in 1957. I came to age musically, like everybody did in 1964 of my generation with the Beatles and the Stones on Ed Sullivan. But it's long been my contention that maybe, just maybe, the greatest rock and roll group that's ever been was the Coasters in the late 1950s when Libra and Stoller wrote all those songs, and those guys were knocking it out of the park every 3 months with one great song after another for years. Well, Poison Ivy is a Coasters cover, and Billy Thorpe and the Aztecs were an Australian supergroup that were part of the beat boom of the mid-1960s. We took Poison Ivy from the Raven compilation 60s Down Under, originally released in 1964 on the Linda Lee record label. And man, I think they did a great job with that. I didn't realize until I reread the liner notes today, or I probably read it before and just forgot it. Those guys used to fill stadiums.
When the
They were
Beatles,
huge in Australia.
when the Beatles came down under, I'm pretty sure 1965, to reference the Beatles again, it was this band that kept the Beatles from the number one position, chart position in Australia. So that is enormous.
It truly is.
Now it's even easier to get your weekly dose of 60s garage rock, garage punk, freakbeat, and psychedelia. Simply ask your Spotify-enabled device to play you Retrospect 60s Garage Punk Show. I'm delighted, Jerry, that you've also sent me some more psychedelic picks. We've got a set of 3 coming up and 3 really, really cool tracks too. The first is the Tangerine Zoo.
The track is called Trip to the Zoo. It was released on Mainstream Records here in the States, I believe out of California in the San Francisco area in 1968. We took it from the mainstream pop psych collection called 1966 to 1970, also known as All Kind of Highs. This band was from Swansea, Massachusetts in 1968. They were part of the Bosstown Sound there. It was a quartet. They once were known as the Flower Pot. They made 2 records, broke up before they made the third. They made their first album in 13 hours, and this track is about an acid trip.
And their label, when they were offered a contract, objected to the name The Flower Pot because of that somewhat obtuse reference to marijuana. They had to change their name to the Tangerine Zoo.
One of the foremost authorities on LSD is Dr. J. Thomas Ungerleider of the UCLA Neuropsychiatric Institute. I want you to hear what he has to say about it.
I'd like to share some of my thoughts with you about LSD. The story, particularly of LSD, and also that of any of the drugs of abuse, is really a story of much more. It's a story of the 2 generations, of those under 30, often called teenagers, teeny boppers, adolescents, or whatever, and those over 30, those of us who are the establishment. For drug usage is a symptom. The story is that of adults' defensiveness, hysteria, scapegoating, frantic passing of laws, and real helplessness.
6 times the chimes of karma, free in turn the eternal harmony. Libra listens and quietly sings, gently peeling each yellow note. Beauty lives within an eye of jade. Venus contemplates a serene flower, the color of an hour of love. Libra, as close to love as the note to the chime, as the dream to the heart.
Sometimes we say all drug use is a giant communist plot. Sometimes we advocate censoring the radio stations that play rock and roll songs with words and ideas we don't like. Sometimes we frantically pass laws.
The king of the mountain foresees your doom, spends all of his idle time making bad perfume, goes out of his way to see your mind go weaker. Will the time ever come when he leaves us alone? The waves breathe in and wash out all our fears. The sun leans down and takes away our fears. The wind walks through and takes away the blue. The storm will rise and take me soon. Can't you see through the haze that the days are a maze of nothing? I can tell by the signs that time isn't mine. For living is a death when
sun shines at night. Now the sky is warm with all worldly fools. As it tied to the sun burns and the earth regrets, it's over.
You're with Retrospect 60s Garage Punk Show. Jerry Balderson, our guest selector this week. 3 very cool psychedelic picks from Jerry. Tangerine Zoo, A Trip to the Zoo, top of that set. Then a track from an album I've played occasionally here on Retrospect. It's called Zodiac Cosmic Sounds, or Cosmic Sounds Zodiac. Nobody really knows. It is little more than a cash-in psychedelic record based on star signs and the so-called science of astrology. Jerry, quirky pick.
Hilarious album.
Yeah.
Such great fun. The first time I heard it, I was on the floor laughing, and not just for I guess the audaciousness of doing a spoken word record with period piece instruments backing them up, but the deep chops of Cyrus Faryar, and the fact that it was on the Elektra label in 1967, the same label as Love, Tim Buckley, and some band that you may or may not have heard of called The Doors.
Great pick. Then we had the Gants. Now, they're a band that actually, early days of Retrospect, I used to play them a bit more, but you've chosen a track that I wasn't familiar with. Tell us about it. Called Sunday at the Lotus Parlor.
Yeah, I found it on a compilation of which I have to, in case of full disclosure here, I have to confess there were several things I picked for today's show. I went back today to make notes and try and find it. I couldn't find the albums that I took them from because they were compilations. The Gants was one of them. We listened to the piece called Sunday at the Lotus Parlor. They made 3 records for Liberty, which was a big label here in the States in the mid-1960s. They're out of Greenwood, Mississippi. They got some national recognition with a top 50 cover of Bo Diddley's Roadrunner. But we know the definitive version of that song was done by the Pretty Things and the late Phil May.
I'm Phil Gray. Thanks for listening to Retrospect 60s Garage Punk Show.
It's interesting. He's got a very good approval rating, and I like that. It's good.
Jerry, more picks from you. Coming up, Richard and the Young Lions, a band known originally as the Emeralds, then the Original Counts with a K. A lot of British Invasion cover versions done by this band. One minor hit, the track you've picked. This is Open Up Your Door.
Wanna
Greetings from Allamuchy, New Jersey. My name is Jerry, a.k.a. Jumpin' JB, and I am thrilled every week to be tuned in to the Retrospect 60s Garage, Freakbeat, and Psychedelic Show with Phil Gray.
Daddy's money was no good. A trip or two now when she could. She left his place without a dime and got a job with lots of time. She's a hippie elevator operator, a hippie elevator operator, a hippie elevator operator. And she'll take you so high that you'll never come down. From toys to ladies' hose she goes. She'll let you ride your scene, she knows. So listen, sir, you've got the chance to catch your sail on happenstance. She's a hippie elevator operator, a hippie elevator operator, a hippie elevator operator. And she'll take you so high that you'll never come down. Take a trip now, you will see why. Now the motions you make, the patience it takes to find a glass cage to take out your rage. Trip now, you will see why. Now the motions you make, the patience it takes to find a glass cage to take out your rage.
In fact, even New Zealand, you see what's going on in New Zealand. It's terrible. We don't want that.
Baby, I feel good. From the moment I rise, feel good from the morning to the end of the day. To the end of the day, girl. Yeah, you and me, we could decide. When I wake up, all you know is my life.
3 more selections from our guest selector, Jerry Balderson. Jerry, give us a rundown on those 3 tracks.
Well, Richard and the Young Lions are the garage rock pride of New Jersey from the 1960s. That was a single on the Phillips label in 1966, and we took it from the Nuggets CD box set, not Lenny Kaye's original double album set.
Right.
They were from Newark. It was a top 10 hit in Detroit, and it was a decent-sized hit in other markets here in America. They came back to prominence a couple decades ago from Stevie Van Zandt, who on his Underground Garage radio station used to play those guys a lot. And then, off the strength of that, they reunited, and there was a rockumentary made about them. So it was kind of a certified miracle that they got a late-in-career comeback.
Your next selection, one that we have had on Retrospect, Hippy Elevator Driver by the W.C. Fields Memorial Electric String Band. In fact, I think that was about a dozen episodes ago we had that track off Hanna-Barbera Records.
Yeah, well, I'm a sucker for the old W.C. Fields movie. So any band that would put that name as their band name, I'm all in on. That band was a mashup of the Preachers, who did the garage version of Who Do You Love, and the Bees out of L.A. At the time. John York, who was a bassist and the post-David Crosby version of the Byrds, was the bass player in that band also, and they cut an album for the Uni label, a pretty big label that the Strawberry Alarm Clock were on in 1969.
And your final selection in that set, one of the many, many Kinks covers in the Retrospect collection, off USA Records, November 1967. The band is called the Trafalgar Square.
I know little about this band other than the fact that the Kinks, the Beatles and the Stones stand on their own. I think we can acknowledge that no matter how much we love obscure garage, psych, and freakbeat things. But Ray Davies and the Kinks, that band was as great as any band that walked the earth for the time that guy picked up the pen from 1964 to 1974. And any band that would take the time to not only cover them, but cover them well like Trafalgar Square did, they get a gold star in my book.
No argument from me. Dig what you hear? Yeah! Check out back episodes of Retrospect, 60s Garage Punk radio show and podcast. Always available across all good podcasting providers, including Apple Podcasts, TuneIn.com, Stitcher Radio, Blueberry, Player.fm, MyTuner Radio, Mixcloud, Castbox, Podbean, Pod Directory, and many more. Jerry, we wrap Retrospect every week with an instrumental. I'm really pleased that you submitted some instrumentals to me. So the rest of this episode is instrumentals and some fine selections. You're starting off with Davie, Allan, and the Arrows.
Is it accurate to say that Davie Allan was the poor man's Dick Dale? I'm not sure. He kind of traveled on the same side of the tracks, didn't he? He had that hard driving kind of. I guess the foundation was in surf. But really, it crossed way over to garage, and it's a really great sound. And how can on a Phil Gray retrospect could we not pick the track "Make Love, Not War"?
Gray.
Phil Gray.
Phil Gray.
Phil Gray.
Phil Gray.
Phil Gray.
Gray in Retrospect, 60s Garage Punk Show.
Jerry, two great instrumental selections there. Davie, Allan and the Arrows Make Love Not War. A guy known best, I think, for his various soundtracks to teen and biker movies. But then you selected something completely, absolutely new to me, and I love it. It's kind of a jazz funk instrumental, I guess you would say. Spencer Davis Group, or a lineup of the Spencer Davis Group. But where did this one come from?
It comes from a really cool, the Cherry Red label out of England makes these wonderful three CD compilations of 60s and early 70s music. And this particular one is called One Way Glass. The track we took from, or the date we took this track from, is 1969, and clearly that's post Stevie Winwood,
yeah.
But Muff was still in the band. And it really was a left field thing. I'm thinking, okay, I got to be on my A game to keep up with Phil on his show and to keep his audience entertained. So it's like, I was looking for a track and I thought, oh, that one's really cool. So there it was.
Jerry, yes, you certainly did outdo me. I wasn't familiar with it. My understanding is that track appeared on a Spencer Davis Group album called Letters from Edith late in their career. Some argument as to whether it was released or not released. I believe it was briefly released in the States, although other people say there were 50 white label test pressings only. Other people say no, there were some orange labels. Who knows what happened to that album, but a very cool instrumental from the Spencer Davis Group.
And a high five to the people at the compilation One Way Glass for finding that track out of 50 test pressings and obscurity and rescuing it. And I guess we could clearly say, poor Spencer Davis. I mean, he was a decent musician and a good band leader, and completely overshadowed, not wrongly so, by Steve Winwood.
Jerry, it has been my pleasure to have you on the line with me today, and thank you so much for your selections and your insight into the music. I bow down to you. I think your knowledge greatly exceeds mine, and I look forward to listening to your radio show. I hope you enjoy this episode. I hope you share it widely. I'd like to think, too, that once your country does better at dealing with the current COVID crisis, that I might be able to get back over to the States. Through this show, I've made some friends on your side of the States, Chicago, Charlotte, in Canada, but I'd like to also think I could get out to New Jersey. Long time since I've been to New York. So thank you, Jerry.
Well, you've got a co-host seat in my studio on Friday night between 7 and midnight when you do, and I expect you.
Now there's an idea. How could I resist that? We're going out with your last selection, Jerry, The Ventures, guitar band, a band that, wow, I mean, all those group sounds bands for a start inspired by The Ventures, let alone bands all over the world, even down here in New Zealand. This one's off a really interesting Ventures album, and it's a great track. We're going out. Jerry, tell us about this one.
Attracted by the title of the song called Zocko, which is the Ventures original. You know, those of us kids who grew up in the mid-1960s, we know the Ventures from their covers of modern-day top 40 and pop hits that they would rearrange. But this one, these guys flash their own style and credentials, and they do it really well. Two quick things before we quit, Phil. One thing about New Zealand, I had a friend of mine and her husband who lived in New Zealand for 10 years. He had a contract down there. And after they came back, they were supposed to be there 6 months. And after they came back, I went to a party at their house one night. And we were talking for a bit because she was a high school classmate of mine. And I asked her, I said, so you're back in Hackettstown, New Jersey. What do you think? How do you feel? She looked at me, and she had a way about snarling at you in a friendly way. And she said, well, I lived in paradise, meaning New Zealand, for 10 years. Now I'm back in Hackettstown, New Jersey. I was like, but I asked.
Yeah.
So that's one story. And the other thing now, I noticed with gladness that your prime minister got reelected in a landslide yesterday.
Yes.
And she's a worldwide hero for her handling of the COVID pandemic, and also for her reaction to the mass murder last year. And can I now that we've become close friends over this past hour, can you see if you can make this trade happen, that we trade your prime minister for our president? Can you do that for us?
It's not going to happen, buddy. We're not going to happen. Thank you, Jerry, for those words. We know how very, very fortunate we are, and our news cycle is dominated by American news too. So, yeah, we have perspective, and that's why your leader, shall we say, appears so often in snippets on Retrospect.
Well, yes. Your clips, your drops as a fellow radio host are absolutely brilliant. They're very, very funny, and I'm glad you do them.
Thanks, Jerry. Thank you for making this show possible. Thank you for joining us, giving us your time. And that's Retrospect for another week. Retrospect. Retrospect's Garage Punk Radio on Facebook and Retrospect 60s Garage Punk on Instagram. And for back episodes, find Retrospect 60s Garage Punk Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and lots more great podcasting platforms.
It was not a great job.